special welcome to today's podcast. I am excited to be in conversation with Nick. Nick, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Much appreciated.
Fantastic, fantastic. So today's topic that we are going to be looking at is the artificial intelligence chatbots. You have created one, and you are one of the people on the African continent that has actually built a system that is now even used overseas, and you've won quite a number of awards, of which I must say I'm super, super proud of you.
Thank
That
you
you're
so
making
much.
such waves. Yes, yes,
Yeah,
absolutely proud of you. So I would love you to just introduce yourself. Tell us who you
sure,
are and what business you are involved in.
sure. So my name is Nicholas Acheros, and I am the CEO of Gotbot.ai, which is a South African-based chatbot solution provider.
Fantastic. So,
Yeah.
how did you get into this industry? Please just take us on a journey. How
Sure.
did you get where you are today?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting story, but we've got a sister company called In Josie, which is a technology studio, and a friend of ours by the name of Dane Levenrad actually had an issue. He ran a very successful coffee shop, and most of his orders were coming directly into his to his phone via SMS, Facebook, WhatsApp, things like that, and he just basically couldn't handle the volume, and because he was obviously trying to make the coffees and type back to people and all of this. And due to the convenience, he basically said, Nick, is there no way to kind of like automate this whole process? So Gotbot's first product was actually called Gotbot Get It, which was a chatbot that was deployed over Facebook Messenger that took in coffee orders. And it had a whole integrated point of sale system, all of that. And then as we basically continued our journey, we had more and more people ask us, listen, can it do this? Can it do that? And eventually we built out the Gotbot custom care system, which is basically a system that allows you to build whatever bot you want. So if you're in the retail industry, if you're in travel, tourism, financial services, it doesn't really matter. We've got a platform that can build out the automation and these bots for you. And that's basically the journey we took, which was really, really interesting. So our first use case was ordering coffee through text. Now we are. It's very interesting.
Excellent.
Mm,
Excellent. Such a fascinating journey. I know that
yes,
most of our listeners might not even know what a chatbot is. Let's start by defining what is an artificial intelligence chatbot, and
sure.
secondly, where are people encountering these chatbots
Sure,
in
sure.
everyday life?
Yeah. So the first thing to understand is artificial intelligence is often used as a fairly broad term. With us, we work in a certain vertical within artificial intelligence, specifically in machine learning under natural language processing and natural language understanding. So what that means is, as a person types, the machine learning algorithms basically can pick up certain keywords, understand them, and then calculate what a probable answer would be. So that's now all free text. So you've got the machine learning in the background, picking out keywords, formulating it into a proper response back to client. And then what you also have are bots that are built in decision trees. So this often happens when, for instance, someone comes in, is asking you about the product, what the product does, what time do you open, X, Y, and Z, and the bot can then respond. From there, what ends up happening is that a person, let's just say, it was wanting to get a costing out of the business itself. What will happen is we then take that into a decision tree and we start changing the format of the conversation. And what we mean by that, instead of your customer asking the business the questions, now the business understands that you want a quote, and now the business is going to ask the person questions, and we'll go through an onboarding process, for instance, and the bot will start asking you, for instance, for your name, your email address, what the scope of work is, how many units would you like to order, all of that type of stuff. And you'd be able to take them all through the onboarding journey. You'd be able to go through the scoping process, and if certain third-party bits of software are integrated, for instance, like your accounting system, we could possibly even deliver the quote directly to the person. So you could just imagine how powerful that is once you understand how chatbots actually work. The second part of your question was, where are people encountering chatbots in their lives? And one of the main places that you'll see chatbots these days is on the front end of a website, a web chat. So either that is live chat or it's driven by robotics. And that's when you will build in a knowledge base, often a natural language processing and so on, where you can very quickly fulfill the person's request, even if it's, often people are looking for certain things on websites, but they can't find it because the websites are so big. What you can even do now is people can type into the web chat asking where a specific portion of information is, and the bot can direct them to that, for instance, and just help them with, any type of like frequently asked questions and things like that. And then I think that's our kind of one of the more predominant places. And what's becoming quite popular now is the use of bots over very popular channels like WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, things like that. So we refer to it as channel of choice. So because you can deploy bots on these channels where your audience is actually sitting and your customer base is sitting, they don't have to go and download another app. They have a question, they can ask it on Facebook, for instance, and we can then reply on their channel of choice. So if they like being on Twitter, we can deploy a bot on Twitter. If they like being on Facebook, we can deploy a bot on Facebook. If they like WhatsApp, we can deploy a bot on WhatsApp, or all of them, So it becomes very interesting because people use bots now as, different types of strategies. So they would often use, for instance, I know I'm delving into this quite intensely now, but they would deploy a specific bot for lead generation, let's say, on something like Instagram or Facebook, because that's where the audience is interacting. And then let's just say self-service could be done on something on WhatsApp or web chat, for instance. So we're starting to see that certain channels offer a segment of your clientele a specific user journey where they like to interact on certain things on certain channels, basically.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And people are always using chatbot as well when they interact with certain apps, right? I'm thinking of the bank app. There's
Yes.
you can ask it a question, and it will give you feedback. So
Yes.
that's a bot that is sitting there.
Correct. So what tends to happen there is that where you're getting the best out of the bot is with large volumes of mundane questions where you don't really need a human being. So let's just take a bank as an example. People are looking for their statements all the time, or what is my repayment on my account, or how much do I still owe on my loan. And what we've then done is we take Gotbot and we then channel it into their third party legacy systems, whatever it is, the ERP, CRM systems. We are able to then take the data from that portion of their system and feed it back, so that when someone comes in and asks for their statement, we quickly vet them. We go and collect the information from the bank's internal system and pass it through to the end consumer. And the benefits of this is that you can now get what you want as a consumer basically 24/7. And we're seeing it because our system has the ability to log all the data that we're getting from consumers, so we can see, which channel did what volume, like how many thousands of people interacted with a certain channel on this day, and we can even break it up per hour, which is quite interesting. So you can imagine a credit provider. We can see that a lot of the clientele engage early morning, at lunchtime, and then going into the evenings, because some of these people are actually quite worried about their finances and so on, and they need to get a hold of someone. So they haven't been able to do that during the course of their day because they're so busy. But at night, when they get home and they've got some time to relax and think, they can then engage with the business, get whatever information they need automatically through a bot. So it's got an amazing use case there.
Excellent, excellent. So let's bring it home. What kind of organizations are able to benefit the most from the bots? I mean, I sit whenever I call, the telecom, and I am just thinking, guys, if only you had a bot, I would not be here for 2 hours on the phone. So let's just dive into that and talk about,
Yes.
the kind
Yeah.
of
So
organizations and businesses that can leverage
yes,
this bot so they give
sure.
better customer experience.
Yes. So you've hit on a bit of an internal joke with us. So, we always say, when someone goes into their course, the customer call center or whatever, we just say, like, enjoy the 40-minute flute solo, because that's often what you do. And then you're passed from agent to agent, within each business unit, trying to get you to the right person. So we've all experienced the pain there. But to answer your question, basically, which businesses and which industries do chatbots really work in? To answer that very simply, it's anyone with a large kind of customer base that has a lot of interactions between the business and their consumers. And who we're seeing benefit from this massively are a lot of people in retail. So in the retail sectors, anyone, any type of credit provider, financial services, also insurers are using them to great effect as well, even airlines and the travel industry. You can see how well someone like FlySafe Air has used WhatsApp just to get your ticket, really. Now that's normally so painful and so on, and they simply just send it to you via WhatsApp, and it arrives, and you go to the airport, and there you go, and you're in. So it's anyone, again, with a large customer base that has lots of queries between themselves and their clients. And then another interesting one is that big enterprises that have lots of internal staff, you can also use chatbots to enable the internal team. And what we mean by that is we've even created chatbots for the internal call center staff. So we had a scenario with one of the banks where they were selling, credit card products and so on, and they were only selling 3 when they had 7. And the reason why is they didn't actually know all the credit card products that they had. So now what you can do is you can go into the little chat bot, and you can type in home loan, credit card, whatever it is, and it will bring you all the options up on the little web chat that we've instituted, and they can literally read off of that, for instance, which is really, really great. So you can use it externally and internally as well. We're dealing with a big textile provider at the moment, and they are having issues, for instance, where their internal teams are phoning, the teams that basically hold the stock and have access to the stock, to ask them, listen, how much of this fabric do we have? How many of these pillows do we have? X, Y, and Z. And now they just do it through a chatbot. Because it's just such
Awesome.
high volumes, so you can really, really use them well. Yeah.
So I love the efficiency that comes with the use of chatbots. Do you want to speak a little about the utility companies? I think those ones, the municipalities, must be using this
Yeah.
just so that people can have better experience.
Yes, so we have been engaging. Been engaging with municipalities in the Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and now currently in Gauteng as well. But you've hit on something massive, actually. Where we could report any type of outage in terms of electricity. Has a street pole fallen down? Has someone had an accident and now the robot is out? There's a pothole here. There are so many applications for people to start delivering useful information to municipalities and utility companies to just further engage and respond quicker to their clients. Because if we have access to them, we would be able to basically help report a lot of different incidents and issues that we see within our own suburbs and the cities we live in ourselves. So I really do think it's an amazing thing that hopefully we do see in the future in South Africa, because I think it's very needed as well. I'm currently using an app. I think they'd be happy for this, but it is called My Smart City app. But the problem with that app is that app downloads are often quite extensive, just in terms of the amount of data you need to actually download that app and then use it. Where, if we look at a channel of choice like WhatsApp, for instance, you don't need to download it. 88% of people's smartphones in our country already have it. Then all they have to do is find you on WhatsApp, save your number, and they can start reporting certain incidents. So I think you've hit on a great use case, in my opinion, there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk about how you build these systems.
Mm,
I mean, like I said, your product, which our company carries as well, resells, is a product that you built from scratch. Just
yes.
talk to us about that process of building a chatbot.
Yes. So yeah, it's extensive and extremely complicated. But if we look at it from an infrastructure point of view, through understanding how safe and secure everything needs to be, we started building everything off of AWS from an infrastructure point of view, because we would be able to scale and secure our services through a platform like that. Then what ends up happening is we had to then build out all the natural language processing portions of it, all the inboxes as well, and then all the bits of automation that's needed. And then one of the most important portions of it is that you're looking to create a space where you can attach your bot and integrate it into the existing systems that the businesses use. So you've then got to build that layer, because a bot's only as smart as the information it has access to. So if you ask it for a statement and it doesn't have access to to the statements, it can't deliver the statement. For instance, if you ask it what the time is and it's not connected to worldclock.com, for instance, and it can't deliver the time to you, it's not that smart. So you really have to understand how what you're looking for in terms of its use case and what it's connected to. And then one of the other layers of it is the analysis portion. So you've got your infrastructure, you've built all the inboxes, you've built all of the machine learning, natural language understanding, natural language processing, all the decision trees and all the automation around that. You've integrated it, and now you have to analyze it. So we have a ton of different types of reports within our system, which will give you access to, for instance, general reporting, what generally is happening on the bot itself. which channels are people using at what times, what are the agents doing behind it, the people training the bot and the people responding to client issues when the bot, for instance, doesn't understand, or you need to be put through to a specific business unit. For instance, am I being put through to accounts or logistics or to IT, for instance? And we can analyze and track everything that's going on. And we have the ability to then give these reports to our clients, and they can see how people actually use the system itself. So that's basically, a very, very short version of how we did it. And I mean, we've been building our platform now for 7 years, so it's going into our seventh year. So it's quite extensive in terms of what it can actually do. And we have the ability to build out quite complicated chatbots with fairly sophisticated integrations and business logic for different types of companies.
Excellent, excellent. Let's talk about the implementation process. How easy
Sure.
is it for an organization to actually, implement this system? So
Sure.
an organization realizes that they do need to implement a chatbot.
Yes.
What would be the process, for example?
Absolutely. That's a great question. So basically what we do is we do a little bit of validation in the beginning. And what that would entail is that we would sit with the client and understand where their business has either a pain point or a value proposition. So either we're going to make you money or save you money or do both, which is always, such a lovely place to end up. But we would then analyze and vet their use cases. Once we understand that the use case is plausible and would be great for a chatbot to be deployed, then what we'd go into is the scoping and the full understanding of it. So we've got the use case. Let's just say it's a bank and they want to give out loans, and people check their statements and they can check their interest rates and all of that type of stuff. Then what we do is draw out. We often use something called Draw.io, but we draw out the general architecture of all the main components that are needed and which systems we need to integrate with and which channels we are using. From there, we would then organize all the flows. In other words, we go through a user journey. So we would say that there's a guy called Alex, and Alex arrives, and what is he going to do? He's going to arrive at the bank's website. He's going to click it open. He's going to onboard himself. And then from there, he can check 1, 2, 3 things. And we basically scope out all of those flows to understand exactly how we're doing it. Then what we end up doing is get all the documentation that is then needed for their internal systems. We check all of those and make sure that they work. And from there, we can then basically see if they've got all the specific endpoints that we need to provide people with their statements, with their invoices, with their interest rates, whatever it is that they want. And from that point, we would then bring a product owner on from Gotbot. They then analyze everything, construct it, make sure that the solution is right, and we mitigate all assumptions. And we then attach key performance indicators to that, because this bot has been brought on to do very specific things. For instance, take pressure off the call center. So after 3 months of now we've, let's just say, built it, and we're tracking it, we want to track against our KPIs and make sure that we've taken pressure off the call center. How many people have we helped? When have we helped them? How quickly did we help them? And who haven't we been able to help, for instance? And we can then analyze it. On average, for us, a chatbot from build to testing and deployment takes anywhere between 6 to 12 weeks. Just depending on levels of integration and so on. And once they've been deployed, you track them quite closely. especially over the first 3 months, you need the data so that you can analyze what's actually going on, so that you can make an educated decision. We don't want to make any assumptions. That's definitely not the point. It's to work off of data and help the clients. So we're very customer centric business at the end, because we will often, talk to our clients and say, listen, guys, I know you think this is for you, but it's not. It's for your clients, because the happier client you have, the better business you have. And we know that, through tons of research, that most people would actually pay a premium for better service. So if we are able to provide that service, and give them, this premium experience, the business is all the better for it. Hopefully, I answered your question,
You did,
as
you
you wanted.
did.
Okay,
Excellent,
great,
excellent. You did. You explained it so well. Let's
lovely.
look at the accelerator that
Mm,
Gotbot has been through. Do you just want to
sure,
take us on that exciting journey and share with
sure.
our listeners?
Sure. So, okay, so we started in 2016, and we had started, obviously building everything and so on. And I had a call from this American guy called Zach George, and they were running one of the biggest accelerators out of Europe, for the first time in South Africa. And he called me and said, "Hey Nick, I've heard about you, and you've got this amazing product and so on. Would you mind coming in and pitching?" And at that point, I didn't know what an accelerator was. I didn't know what a VC was. I didn't know what an LP was. I didn't know what private equity was. I didn't know anything. Anyway, so I say to him no, and he says to me, listen, man, this is going to change your life. Please come do it. If you say you have what you have, you're going to do really well. So anyway, he convinces me, and I go to PwC, and we pitch in front of, I can't remember, like 100 odd people, and we've got 3 minutes to do this, 3 minutes and 2 minutes, for questions. So I walk in, set everything up, and I do the demo and show everyone how this thing works. And very, very long story short, we go into the top 100, top 20, and then we get flown down to Cape Town, and we get into the top 10 of this accelerator called Startup Bootcamp. They deploy some cash into us. So it's the first time we've actually taken money, because myself and in Josie, the other business, they've been funding it the whole way through. So that came as like a welcome relief. And from that point, we go through the accelerator, and that accelerator put us in front of guys like RCS, which we've had a fantastic relationship with over the years. We're actually part of their Level Up program at the moment as well. And we went into something else called SW7, which has been great. And we also did plug and play with NetBank. So through all of these accelerators, we've learned a hell of a lot, and they really have helped us develop our systems, our sales cycles. They've introduced us to a lot of influential people as well. And since the beginning, we've been very, very lucky, because during that accelerator itself, we were the first pilot in RCS from a startup that turned from a pilot into a commercial product. And that was an amazing kind of achievement. And 5 years later, they are still one of our clients. So it's been an incredible journey. And through that relationship with RCS and BNP Paribas, I can't speak their praises enough. They really supported it. They even gave us office space in the beginning. They've been a massive support to us. And they basically ended up inviting us to go to Viva Technology, because we were then onboarded as a verified and vetted vendor for BNP Paribas themselves. So it was the first trip I ever had where someone else paid for me. And I went to Paris in 2018. So the next year after we had completed Startup Bootcamp. And I went to Viva Tech, and it was incredible, because you're there, and this is the biggest tech conference in Europe, and Tim Cook's there, Mark Zuckerberg, Emmanuel Macron opened it. It's just like star-studded from a tech point of view, and your eyes are as big as saucers. But I'll take a little, trip around this. I think the thing that struck me the most is, um, while I was there, I just saw how amazing human beings were. We've developed like all this crazy tech. I mean, I literally bots like speaking to me, like physical bots in 2018, and I'm there with all this natural language processing and all these bots that work off of DM services and so on. And then, I saw a flying car and all of these things. And it was 4 days and it was brutal, because I was the only guy there and I didn't leave my stand. I was like, I'm going to do business. I'm going to show everyone that a South African company can do this. And I think the thing that I'm getting at is, that finished, and I was so struck by that. And then the next day, I had my first day off, and I went to the Louvre, and I went and looked at all this amazing art, and it was almost emotional for me, because I realized human beings we're insane, we're incredible, we're incredibly complex, but we are so smart. And you see what people were doing, thousands and thousands of years ago, and the progression to now with all this automation, and you realize that we are alien, we are something else. That we've actually created certain things that a person like me, um, can go and access all this type of infrastructure and these existing technologies, and put them together with all these bits and pieces, and package a commercial product that we have a ton of blue chip clients on it. Like we've got the likes of an African bank, a RCS, Momentum, Sanlam, Lexus, Nissan, Toyota. Like these are all blue chip clients, and we're a 6-year-old startup. So it's people are amazing. Yeah, it was lovely. I would never ever take those memories back, or any of the experiences. And some of them were really, really tough. The accelerators were really tough because they pushed us really hard. But in the end, it was the best thing that ever happened to us, to be honest.
Excellent, excellent. What a great experience you've had,
Yeah,
hey?
yeah,
Ah,
very lucky,
man,
blessed.
very, very blessed indeed. And I am truly happy for you. Let's talk about some of the successful use cases
Mm,
that you've had from using the chatbot. And I know
sure.
that you've got quite a great clientele list of the people that are
Yes.
already using Gotbot.
Yes, yes. So we've had success in a couple of different verticals. Some of the biggest ones to talk about are in the retail sector. I don't often know how much to share, but there's a South African business in the retail sector that is basically ranked the second biggest, in terms of social commerce in the world when it comes to Facebook. And on average, we deal with about 250,000 unique contacts per month on our bots. And we've got bots running on Facebook, Facebook Lite. And then we've got consumer, applications of bots running on WhatsApp as well. And, these guys are so big, in terms of volume, that at points, I mean, they actually crash their Facebook page. So they have words with Facebook themselves, which is very, very interesting. But the volume that they're driving is astronomical, and their use case is so good. The way they market themselves, the way they have their onboarding process sorted out, and so on, works extremely well. And we end up making them a lot of money. And then if we look at like some of our success stories in the banking sector, where guys are trying to put loans out and X, Y, and Z. Banks are there and they make money by providing credit. And one of our success stories there, and you guys can go read about this on our website. But over an 8-month period, and this was our POV, which is our proof of value, because we know the concept works. So we ran a proof of value for them for 8 months. But through their chatbot, we were able to basically onboard about 21.6 million rands worth of loans. And that was all done through about 6,000 forms that we call them forms, but people that we had onboarded through the chatbot itself. So you have this incredible opportunity where you can automate the onboarding process and allow someone to give them the information that they want, because they obviously want something back from you. So it's quite interesting that you'd be able to now do this. And then another very interesting opportunity with one of the credit providers is we did a project with them where they were giving out loans and so on. So they had this massive marketing kind of process that you could get their card and so on, their debit or credit card. And what ended up happening was, you put this advert out, and when people come in, they call the call center, to get this great deal and so on. And then you have to start vetting people. So with this, they put out the adverts on Facebook, all of this type of stuff. And the bot was actually built to vet you as you went into the system. And we did about 11,000 people coming through the system. But if you could maybe take a guess at who qualified, because you have to qualify for a loan, and we were doing provisional credit checks. I'm sorry, how many people do you think actually qualified from the 11,000 people for the loan, if you had to guess?
Maybe 50%. I don't know. Just
Yeah. So
some
so
sacrifice.
so so from the 11,000, it was just under 2,000 people that qualified. So during the vetting process, we were doing a provisional credit check against guys like Experian, XDS, CompuScan when they were around and all of that. And we could then bring that information back to the person and tell them immediately that they qualified. Traditionally, what was happening is that people were phoning the call center, and the call center agents had to do this. So, that it was just inefficient. You're wasting time, all of this. And basically, within the first 5 questions, we had done a provisional credit check on you. And we could give the people that qualified for the card or the loan, the facility that they were looking for. So a very interesting use case there as well. It's different because you're saving them time. Basically, you're saving the business time, and you're actually also saving the clientele time as well, because then they could go free themselves up to go and do something else, or see if there's another product out there that they would qualify for.
Absolutely. Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
thank you.
Let's look at the business advantage or the benefits that comes. I know we've touched on it along our
Yes,
conversation as we've been speaking, but let's just sort of nail it and
yes,
just bring that kind of thinking in terms of benefits or the business
yes,
value. What do chatbots do to a
yes.
business?
So when you've got the correct use case, our belief is that, again, we're either going to make you money or save you money. In saying that, we also have the ability to then collect all the data so that we could go and give you maybe some more advice around what type of product you could bring to market. So not only are there the stock standard kind of use cases, but through the data, we can come back to you and say, listen, maybe you should bring a product like this out there, because not a lot of people qualified for the 10,000 Rand credit. If we pegged it at 3,000 Rand, you could double up on the amount of people you could onboard, for instance. Then I think a couple of other things that would stand out for me would be the fact that once you deploy a certain channel, and that certain channel or use case is effective, it often opens up another opportunity in possibly another business unit. So what we see is we deploy something, it becomes successful, and then people either expand on that, or they come back and they say, wow, Nick, could we use it like this over here? Because now you've realized that the pennies dropped to the client. And if you look at Gartner's hype chart, for instance, in basically 2015, 2016, there was a tech trigger. There were all these crazy heightened expectations. Everyone thought chatbots could do everything. Wow, that's crazy, right? And then they realized that they could only do certain things very well. And now you go through the trough of disillusionment. And now what we're seeing is the plateau of productivity, where the clients are starting to realize, wow, this is a great use case. If I use it like this, I become more efficient. In the efficiency, what we're trying to do is not only make it better for the internal staff that's working at the company, but for the customer themselves. And when we've got happier clients, we've normally got happier staff as well. So the end point is to take a lot of that pressure off these teams, and augment the experience. So what's ended up happening as well is that companies aren't employing as much. There's a lot of economic kind of downward pressure, and people are saying, oh, but bots are taking our jobs. But it's not. I look at this phone, and everyone is so worried about it. But what we're telling people is that we're augmenting the human experience, because there is going to be a point where the bot can do X, Y, and Z, and then they're going to want to speak to a person. But our mandate as a business is to augment the business's customer experience from both employee and customer, make that better, and then allow the internal staff to just focus on 5-star service and do the jobs they actually need to do. Because if we look at some of these social media teams that run, our system on some of their accounts, they were never going to get more people. That was never the mandate. They've got a team of 5 and they stuck with it, but they couldn't respond quick enough. So now they bring in a product like ours, and their response times went from basically a week down to seconds, because we're taking the large mundane volume, the mundane questions and the large volume of that away from them. So when they actually needed to speak to someone and deal with them on a proper issue, they had the time to do it. And therefore, there's even better customer experience when you speak to someone, because they're not trying to get through 1,000 things. They can now concentrate on the 10 really important prioritized issues that they have on their table. And I think those are the things that come out of it when you deploy the bot in the right way with the right use case.
Beautifully explained, Nick. And I also love the fact that you talk about the place that these automations or smart technologies have, and the value that they add. People have this crazy idea that, automations are coming to take away our jobs. The conversation we should be having is that the smart technologies are actually making us more efficient.
Correct.
And they are allowing us to be able to give better customer experience, like you're saying, by automating the repetitive, mundane work. It frees up so much time for us to be able to give excellent service. And the customer of today is so spoiled. They are looking for impeccable, excellent service, customized service. And you're only going to offer customized, excellent service if you've got automations that are actually doing the repetitive, mundane work.
Yeah, correct. I mean, just to give you, a couple of stats around that, that statement that you've just given us, is that I think it's about 51% of consumers are currently expecting, brands to be accessible 24/7. And where has this come from? It's come from on-demand services. I want to watch the whole, series tonight on Lord of the Rings or whatever it is. Go on to Showmax and you can watch it. I want to watch a series now. I can go on to Netflix and I'll watch the whole thing. I want food now. I can get it through Mr. D. No problem. Done. So this on-demand behavior that's been brought on has made us impatient as consumers, and our lives are busy, so we don't care. So when I need the information, I need it. If I need it at 9 o'clock at night, I need it. And then also what we're seeing in the market, that's about 62% of people actually prefer messaging over talking to someone in person or even on the phone. People don't want to be on the phone. They don't have the time to be on the phone. So all these forced behaviors have brought on the tech trigger that I spoke about earlier. So people don't have the time. They don't want to talk. They want to message because it's intermittent, and I can do it in between my meeting, X, Y, and Z. How many people can take a full-on call during the day from your telco or your insurer or your bank? Very few people. And if you speak to these institutions, they will verify that they struggle to get a hold of people. So if you give them the channel of choice that they prefer working on and you automate it, you're all the better for it.
Absolutely. And just so well said. I am one of those clients, man. When I am looking for information, I want it now.
Now,
And really, if you're
exactly.
going to take a day to get back to me, you've lost me completely. I even laugh. I'll be like, really? You
Yeah.
responding to me a day later? Yeah, that's the new way of living. We are just in this
Yeah.
instant
Yes.
way of getting what we want. We want it now. If it's service, we want whatever we're requesting for in the
Yes.
now. Yeah.
Yes. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. And the scary thing is that we're a little bit older, but can you imagine what the youngsters are like?
Yeah.
People entering the job market now. If you've got kids, just watch them. Um, when they refer to TV, they refer to YouTube or Netflix.
Exactly.
That's TV, and whatever they want, they've got it. It's on demand. So can you imagine how much pressure they will put on businesses? Um, they're going to want everything as at the flick of a switch, click of a
You're
button.
right, eh? You're so right.
Yeah.
So I've got my daughter who's doing second year university, and she says all the news that she gets it through TikTok. She says there's no need for me to watch TV. I get to TikTok,
Yep.
and immediately I'm able to get the immediate specific information that I'm looking for. And I just
Yes.
thought, wow, that's actually very, very interesting.
Absolutely. And I mean, now with Mr. Elon Musk taking over Twitter, I think we're going to see a massive, massive change in that platform, again, to make things much, much quicker and much easier. They've done a deal with Binance. I think they're going to take it into the Web3 space. I think he basically wants to build out the WeChat chat for the Western world, because WeChat is obviously used in the Eastern world, specifically in China, and you have the ability to do everything on it. And I think he wants to convert Twitter into a space like that. So I think Twitter bots and so on are going. My prediction is in the next 3 to 5 years are going to become far more predominant in terms of their use case.
Very, very interesting. Let's
Yeah.
look at the use of avatars
Mm.
in chatbots. But first of all, before we even look at the use case, let's define what are avatars.
Yeah. So what we're seeing is that an avatar is basically you're giving the bot some type of persona, some type of personality. Even some people give them a look and feel, really, and it helps with people in terms of engaging with something. Because if you just say, "Oh, we're an automated chat service," people, well, what does that actually mean? And what they're looking for is something that they can call it. Oh, let's just say, Tim, the tax bot, for instance. Everyone knows that it's such a great name and so on. But if you give it's a personality, people tend to kind of interact with it with a little bit more ease, because what you're trying not to do is trick people and tell them that no, this is a person when it's not. You want to tell them it's automated, and you want to tell them that it's got some type of personality and so on. So you could imagine how different an avatar personality could be for, let's just take a very humor driven brand like Nando's. You can imagine what their bot would be like, quite funny and things like that, I would imagine, and quite cheeky. And then take it to something like a Standard Bank, which might be far more serious because they're talking about your money and your home and your credit card and all of this. So they would have quite different personalities, different tones of voices, different looks, things like that. So an avatar is meant to represent the bot in some shape and form, adding some
Awesome.
type of personality on.
I like that idea. In fact,
Yes,
it's more relatable. Even when you go to a
correct.
website, if you can actually see an avatar, you're like, oh, okay.
Yes,
You sort of feel you're getting saved. You get a
yes.
connection.
That's
So
it. That's it.
yeah.
And then also, through the look of the avatar, because some of our clients, like Experian now have made a little avatar called Ed, and he spins and waves and says, how's it? I can help you. So even on the little website, you'll see him spin, and again, just giving you more personality, and it also just helps ensure that there's continuity between this being, even if it is basically an algorithm, and then handing over to human dialogue. So you could say something like, oh, I see that you've just been handed over from Tim or from Ed, or Kyoto from Nissan. He's got a Japanese name, and it's cool. It's like tons of personality in it, and I think people love it. And I think avatars, because of, again, Web 3.0, and the metaverse and all of these things, avatars are going to become more and more and more just part of our daily lives. And in the end, everyone might just have an avatar of themselves. I mean, you can even make an avatar on your iPhone, and respond with your own emojis now. I did it. I showed my father, and he he's so blown away, and he just uses his little avatar the whole time. He thinks it's like the best thing ever. So it's very interesting. And then I suppose the other thing just to talk about um, with avatars is that depending on where they're placed and so on, you can give them some type of emotion through gesture and so on. And we think where this is going to end up is that you know when the bot does a certain thing, and your transaction declines or something, you can have an error sound. Or if you were able to complete the transaction, you'd be able to have a sound that basically says, "Oh, that was successful." So basically, what I'm getting at is that you'd be able to bring some more emotion through this little bot, through gesture as well, which is quite interesting. Just think of how you could use emojis on a DM service and put a smiley face and a thumbs up, or you know, you got something right, put the little fire sign there. Whatever it is, it just creates a personality.
I think avatars are going to be huge going forward
Mm,
with Facebook as well going into the metaverse,
yes,
going big on the metaverse. I think,
correct,
avatars will be part and parcel of our everyday interaction.
correct.
Yeah. So, Nick, it's been amazing just conversing with you around
Thank you.
this very exciting topic. You're very knowledgeable, and you've brought a lot of nuggets for the people. So, as we bring this conversation to a close, do you have any concluding remarks or something that you'd want to leave people with to think about?
Yeah, I think a really important thing again to understand is that just think that this type of technology is there to augment the experience, both for your team and for your customers. That's its purpose, really, is to make things a little bit more efficient and a little easier for everyone. If you're thinking about chatbots and so on, think about what is needed from your client's perspective, not only what you're dealing with. Will this add value to your client? So be customer facing in your thought. Um, and then I think the last thing to understand is that when you're approaching this, it is a new technology, and yes, we've proven it time and time again that it works. But whenever we interface with a client and they are innovating, because this is often not something that they actually have. This is a new piece of software that they've never used before, and you have to be brave. Innovation and failure go hand in hand. And when you move through this, you've got to be able to have a couple of knocks. It's not like it's going to fail, but take the knocks, but where your blue sky is. And when you understand that, is you've got to be brave and drive that forward. You've got to be brave with whoever your direct reports go to, and say, whatever, Tabo, listen, this thing's, we see that there's a massive use case here. We could motivate for it on three different levels and so on, and we've got to try for this because it is the way the world is heading, to be honest. And I think if you don't start understanding it now, and we've been in the game now going for 7 years, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be left behind in some shape or form, because customer experience is becoming more and more and more important to businesses. So that's probably what I'd leave people with. And don't be scared. Like, just go and try it out and see where you end up. You'd be surprised.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And on that note, we shall end our conversation. And
Thank you
I
so
would
much,
love to
Soren.
wish you just a great day going forward.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks so much, Nick.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, eh? Bye.
Bye.